Lonesome Lands podcast, Lonesome Report, August something, 20s, are we in the,
20th,
August 20th,
August 20th.
2025. All right. Um, we're going to get right into it. Cattle market, there is no limit. The sky is the limit, but where does that end? Headlines for the day.
That limit is coming. But we
When?
did
Well,
uh,
you got the answer that nobody
well,
knows.
nobody knows, but I mean, we're just now starting to get some feedback on consumers with really concerning ground beef prices. We had record sales today. Today is Wednesday. We had record sales in El Reno today. The board went up to a record spot today. There's a lot of commotion in the board, up and down, up and down. They jam it up, they take a little bit of off. They jam it up, they take a little bit of off. Um, we've got JBS out there that is finally pissed off. Excuse my language. Tyson and
Well, let's get
Cargill.
into you're just going over this stuff.
Yeah.
Let's get I mean, I don't
What do you want to
explain it.
know?
JBS
What do you
being
want to
pissed
know?
off. That's something like you get
Well,
into
we
the
got
board and
JBS. I
it's
feel like JBS is running the show here. I think there is a very complex system in the cattle industry that we've never seen at play right now. And JBS is in the middle of it. These funds are in the middle of it. I think that China's in the middle of it. I think the Mexican cartel is in the middle of it. And I think it's all just a great big washing machine full of stuff. And, you know, to be honest with you, the same question is coming up is how high is too high. And, when you have, I think a buddy of mine said today, 730 pound heifers bring 356 in the South, not even with any freight on them. These cattle were record breaking prices in El Reno today. I'd have to look it up and see what that is. Um, it's wild. It's the Wild West. And every single person I know that's an expert in market and chart flows is like, I don't know. I'm confused. Every
because
single person.
everyone's confused because the prices are so high that people, how
Well,
do
they're
you make
so
money, right?
they're so high, but we're in uncharted territories, right? In a lot of ways, we're in uncharted territories with these highs. It's taking a lot of access to capital, the funds, you know. So you kind of have a place where the funds are running the market, and the board shoots up. They shoot those profits up because it's paper profit is all it is, and that keeps the cash up. And you got who did we? One of our friends yesterday, Carrie Stedheim, sold uh, 9 weight steers for 3,000 over $3,000 a head in North Dakota yesterday, and those cattle do not work. They don't work, and so everybody's very confused on which
So
way to
who's
go,
buying them?
including me.
Who's buying
Including,
who's paying 337 for
I
895, I
guess,
think it is.
I guess these order buyers are. That would
Well,
be
yeah,
who it
but for
is.
who?
I would say for the corporates. For the corporates.
So what's a guy like you to do?
That's a
We'll
good
bring it
question.
back home. Shad
Yep.
buys
Yep.
what 300 pounders usually.
Yep. That's a good question, Jim. That's where I'm at. I mean, this fall I don't have the numbers we normally have because we were dealing with a drought in Colorado in the winter, and then the prices got so high, and I'm like, let's just take it easy a little bit. But I am to the point now where we're fixing to get those cattle off of grass in Colorado, and I'm saying, okay, what are we going to do to replace this? What are we going to do to put food on the table? Because I have access to cash, which a lot of people don't. I have access to a certain amount of cash that I can run my business on, but I can't fill what I have with the access to cash that I do have. See, so those are real problems. I guess they're first world problems, obviously, but when you start talking about replacing cattle, um, that are going to cost you $2,000 off the top. And, just take a small guy like me that, just say you run 1,500 yearlings and you've got to replace that yearling from 1,700 to $2,100. It takes a lot of money, right? And so the major overarching issue right now, just on the production level, is access to cash, because our
Right.
assets are not increasing in value, even though the cattle are. If you were in a position where you didn't, which most of the yearling people, the stalker people, they hedge somehow. They either bought LRPs or they put a true hedge on the cattle. Very few of those people did not take risk management. I mean, there were some that didn't, and they got real lucky, and it's going to be super good for them. But that's a few and far between type of deal. The cow calf guys, if they didn't put LRPs on their calves, that was super good. Everything's bringing lots of money right now. But I'm not complaining about it. I'm just telling you the facts. This cattle deal is high, really
And just to
super
give
high.
perspective, you said 1,500 at 1,700 to 2,100 a head. What was that like 2 years ago? What were you paying for a one calf 2 years ago?
Well, 2 years ago, I budgeted that would have been 23. I budgeted $1,400 for my yearling calves, and I think I come out with a actual of 1,200, 12, a little over 1,200
All right, so you're
on
looking
those
at
calves.
almost $1,000 more per head if
Let
you
me
pay
just tell you,
2,100.
this is a fact based on USDA statistics. A year ago today, 8 weight steers brought $900 less per head than they brought today,
Yeah.
and only 2% difference in the cattle numbers. Right. So you understand that. So a 8 weight steers $900 a head more today. The only difference in the cattle numbers is 2% less today than there was a year ago. So there's a lot of things that don't make sense here. A lot of spreads. I I can't sit here and say I understand, because I don't. I'm lost right now.
And also to put it in perspective, you're North Texas. There's
Hmm.
North Texas is filled with people like you, right? That are
Yes.
lost. I'm
Hmm.
guessing, right? They are.
Yeah.
Have you planted yet? You're working on planting,
No, we're getting our fields ready right now.
which is wheat. So Shad buys
Yep.
calves, right?
Yep.
Like 300 weight
Yep.
calves, puts them on wheat pasture.
Yes.
So you're getting your fields ready. You're getting ready to plant this wheat,
Yes.
and you have room for a lot of cattle, but to fill that room takes a ton of money,
Well,
millions of
it's going to
dollars.
take a special operator. It's going to take a special operator to really get in that business. I mean, they're going to be out there. There's going to be some smaller guys that just do what they can do, right? Just until they have um, you know, enough numbers to fill their access to capital. But as far as number one, we don't have access. The low numbers dictate what we can put out, and obviously we're short on numbers, so that automatically pulls the numbers that will go to wheat, winter wheat, down. Then we have those who have exited the industry over the last 4 years, since 2019. That has lowered those numbers, and then we have those people that are saying, ah, we're at record highs. I'm getting out while I can. Um, and so that's going to have a little bit to do with it too.
Are you
Uh,
seeing, is there leases coming up? Like, are there people being like, I can't afford to buy cattle, so I can't lease this place? Or are those
those
contracts
people are
already?
gone. Those people are gone. They're already gone. I mean, when I came here 32 years ago, in this, let's say this 4 county region right here, just in this small spot where I'm at in North Texas, there were a million head of cattle on winter wheat. Uh, and there was 1,000 cowboys running around here with trailers and horses and taking care of those wheat pasture cattle. There's three of us right here in this really small area right now that are doing it. That's how it's just a whole different ball game. So, an 818-pound steer at El Reno today brings 354.06, which is $2,900 a head. So it's big time, man. It's big time. So
But if you
what?
look at, I mean, this doesn't make any sense, but you're looking at spending up to 2,100 for 300 pounder. You'll sell them around 800 pounds a year later.
Correct.
So you'll have to feed them for a year.
Well, my program would go for a year. So let's just take for example, if I was buying those calves right now, and I take Oklahoma City or El Reno as just kind of a guess, um, on on that steer weighing 381, he brings 538. So he's bringing $2,050 a head. With my cost, so with my cost a minimum, you'll have that's with death loss, medicine, rent, freight, interest, everything. You have minimum of 2,700 in him. And those cattle, that calf would come out in September. So let's look at that September board. It's not up yet, but we can go um, to August at 337. So 337. So you got calf breaks even at 333, and the board's at 337. So the calf breaks even. If I bought that calf today and put my cost analysis into him, and made him weigh what he's supposed to weigh coming off of grass in the fall, which would be 8.25. He breaks even at 333, and the August 2026 board is at 337. So really, it's a wash. No, can't make any money there.
Hmm. All right. Well,
So, in other words, it's exciting times. It's really exciting. This is crazy. The guys that have been in this, the most experienced men I know, are all saying, doing this. Oh my gosh, what are we doing? I don't understand. These are the comments I've gotten just today. I don't understand. I'm very confused. I'm lost. What are we doing? Those are the four main comments I've gotten today from very, very experienced cattlemen. And I'm not an experienced cattleman. I have a lot of friends that are, and they have very, very great knowledge of the industry. And every one of them saying, I don't know. So,
so
so
what do
we,
you to go back to JBS? Like you say, they're
Mhm.
running things. Like what does that mean?
Well, that's just a personal opinion. I think JBS is running the funds up there. They're in and out of the market, pushing it up, pulling it back, pushing it up, pulling it back, and they're the ones that have that access to the capital to do that kind of to do those kinds of things. And I think that we're in my opinion, and this is just me thinking all day, every day, and I don't think quite right, as most everybody knows, but I think we have JBS that wants to vertically integrate our American beef industry right now. We have Mexico who needs to get rid of these cattle. They've got cattle on the border that they have to do something with. They only have one option. That calf's either coming in here in the meat or he's coming in here on the hoof, and we got the border closed. So he's going to come in here in the meat. And we got China who wants to destroy America as a whole, but especially the American agriculture because we're putting so much limitations on them. So we have this complex ordeal of JBS and China both partnering up with probably Mexico. This is all just speculation on my behalf, but I think there's something to all this, and it's uh, it's pretty confusing.
All right. Well, now that
So
we've cleared that up,
I honestly, I think what we have to do is day by day watch this thing. It's literally a day by day scenario. And then what are we going to do when we push that New World screwworm into the complexity of all this? I mean, it's sitting out there on the edge on everybody's mind. If there were to be one positive case, what would happen? If you were, if I believe we could lose 30% of the market, um, Jim, we have gained $18 in 6 days on this market. This is real money. This is massive amounts of money. And so when you make profits going up, there's also availability to make profits going down. And so I'm out. It's just too risky for me.
All
Uh,
right.
I'll end that. I'll end on that. There's a lot of people out there that are better, better versed to talk cattle industry than me. Whew.
Well, you did it. You did it. But to go right into the screwworm that you brought
Hmm.
up, so last week after we recorded, we couldn't remember if it was before or after we recorded, but it was after we recorded. There was a big press conference, um, where Brooke Rollins announced. I guess you're more informed on it than I am.
Yeah, well, Brooke Rollins announces a sweeping plan. Earlier on in July, when she shut the border, she came out with these 5 bullet points that are going to help mitigate the screwworm problem. Well, for some reason, she flew clear to Austin to meet with the governor of Texas, Governor Abbott, to have this huge record-breaking, never before announcement. And she added 4 more bullet points. And one of those was that we're going to dedicate $750 million to a brand new screwworm facility to be built here in Texas. I thought that was fantastic. They're going to give another $100 million in incentives to help the public come up with more, other advancements that can help mitigate or get rid of the screwworm, whether that be, mechanical or, um, uh, you know, medical,
Was this
whatever
like
it
a
may.
contest? Like who
No,
can come up with
no,
the
no,
best
no,
idea?
no, no. They're just going to work in collaboration with the public on this, and they're going to set aside $100 million for that. And
I
then
didn't
they're going to
literally mean a contest.
no, no, it's not going to be a literal contest.
I just meant like the public can.
The public, they're going to work with the public, with I think is a good idea. There's a lot of really
Yeah,
smart
I
people
agree.
out there that can help us. Then they're going to send workers to Mexico to work alongside the Mexican government. Those workers are going to be from USDA. They are going to increase Border Patrol agents on horseback and with the Beagle Brigade, which I never heard of the Beagle Brigade till last week, and that is a little beagle brigade that helps sniff out, bioterroristic problems.
Mainly in airports, right?
Yeah, mainly in airports, but they're going to enable them to go to the border. They're going to hire more tick riders, which is great, and try to get on top of this. The problem I think exposed here is the $750 million to build this new facility. It won't be online for a year. However, they are releasing flies every day, about 100 million a week. This is going to triple that to 300 million a week, just on our own soil.
But
Sounds like.
just they're also putting out an insecticide like a bait trap. When does that
Yes.
start?
I think that they're already doing that
Okay.
down in Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
other thing is $750 million to fix Mexico's problem.
Well, I mean, we're constantly fixing everybody else's problems, right? I mean, that's what
Yeah.
we've done forever. And I would say that this is one time that we probably need to do that if we want to hold our beef industry close to our hearts. I mean, it's there. Listen, I don't care how close or how great the relationship is between Secretary Rollins and the Secretary of Agriculture in Mexico. Mexico's not on our side. They need to get rid of those cattle. They want to do it however they can do it. And I have trust issues with Mexico. I'm sorry. I just do. And but maybe, if we, and I think that's one of the reasons really that they're going to send new employees from USDA down there to work alongside with them. And by the way, they're also USDA has also proposed that they are going to send those employees down there to mitigate movement of positively tested infected regions from the screwworm, which I think is a really good idea too. So there's a lot happening there, and she's dang sure trying to get on it. But boy, what a problem. It's a big task, Jim. It is a big task. So
Yes.
there
Um,
we have
that's
that.
well, the other thing we're going to talk about, which we've been going to talk about for the last
Hmm.
couple of weeks. Pesticide. I want to get the name right. What the heck is it? I just had it up here. Pesticide Liability Protection Act.
Right.
So it has been, it's went through committee, I believe.
Okay.
And what it is manufacturers of pesticides would not be liable for
Right.
health issues that they cause, which
Right.
sounds insane, but
It
um,
does.
yeah, so that's going to be, I mean, it could be, now that it's past committee, it could be voted on any time in the House if, I guess, Mike Johnson brings it up. Um, and so what that does, I guess North Dakota and Georgia already have this kind of deal set. And they made it to where you can't sue pesticide makers for any health issues. And then Cory Booker introduced a bill that would override those state things, and you can sue them federally. You can't sue them in the states, but you can sue them in federal court. And I don't know where that's at exactly, but because that was just like put out a month ago. But this would also prevent any updating of labels,
Right.
meaning because if it passes FDA approval now and it's past like glyphosate is safe now
Hmm.
and it's FDA approved, but if in the future it becomes, it's not FDA approved, well, you can't sue for any issues that you had right now. So what that will do, it will um, prevent the updating of the labels. It will give an incentive not to update labels
Right.
if there are health issues going forward.
That's the way I understood it too.
Well, good. I don't know if I
And
explained it the right way, but
well, I mean, it is really overall a labeling deal. But what I found, is it called Section 453? Um, what I found interesting was that Republican G.T. Thompson, he took $25,000 from one of those big companies, and then Boozman took 47,000. I thought that was,
was that in the article or?
it was in, yeah, it was in the article. But the main, I don't want to know what to call them. The big companies are Syngenta, Bayer, BASF. And it is, just what you said. It blocks the label regulatory aspects on the label. So that's going to get with RFK. I would say that could get pretty dicey. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
And I would think Trump would not want that to go to a vote just because he doesn't want that fight. And I don't know. I don't know how you how do you vote for that? Like, oh yeah, if we do something that harms people, or if this company does something that harms the public,
Yeah.
they should not be liable. I don't understand
Well,
how.
I think that is a testament to the power of the lobby, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just the pesticide lobby. Listen, you have uh, uh, agriculture corporations that are lobbying in the same direction because they are huge, huge users of these chemicals. So I would
Well,
say
it
that's
goes
a
to
testament to that.
also the um what we always talk about is the concentration. Like we had,
Mhm.
where we are now is Bayer bought Monsanto, the largest
Yeah,
pharmaceutical, bought the largest chemical company. Like that should never have happened.
right.
These companies should not be allowed to be this big and this powerful to the point where they can influence Congress and say, yeah, no one can sue us also,
Yeah,
no matter what we do. Um,
exactly.
and uh, like Brooke Miller wrote an article about this, and he's really passionate. He's a doctor who's also raises cattle, part of U.S. Cattlemen's Association, or past president of U.S. Cattlemen's Association. And he was talking about how this kind of incentivizes, companies. Once this passes, they could put out chemicals, and if they get a, FDA approved, like they could know that these are harmful chemicals, and they could still put them out.
Hmm.
And if you think that doesn't happen, like a few years ago, I would be like, oh, that, these companies would never put out. I mean, I don't know if I would say that, but I've become much more like, yeah, if there's a profit to be made, they would put out
You
harmful
sound
stuff.
much more conspiratorial.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Who knows if this will ever see the light of day? But um, all right. So we cover that. What else you
Yeah.
got, Shad? I feel like
Well, we need to do a Brooke Rollins update, which, by the
we just
way,
did.
no, we've got to tell them where she's at today, August
Oh,
20th. She's in,
oh well, we could talk.
s-
Yeah, the solar panel deal.
yeah, so she's in South Dakota at Dakota Fest. Her and Thune and Rounds and Dusty Johnson are going to have a press conference up there, and they're going to talk about all the big things like the farm bill and trade and tariffs and all those things that matter, the screw worm. And so I hope somebody can get us that information because none of the rest of us can be there. That was at 3:35 today, so it's fixing to happen.
That
Yes.
seemed aimed at someone. Someone
No.
we know a lot of people in South Dakota.
Yeah,
Are you
I'm
thinking of
telling.
anyone in particular?
Well, I'm telling all my friends in South Dakota, get your heinies over there. It's going to
Eric
start in.
Groper. Let's just say
Yeah,
it's
it's
Eric
going to
Groper.
start in 20 minutes. So that should be interesting. Secretary Rollins blocks taxpayer dollars for solar panels on prime farmland. That's a big news source this week. Um, Yesterday, she, her and Tennessee Governor Bill Lee, Senator Marsha Blackburn, and Senator Bill Hagerty, and a bunch of others announced that USDA will no longer fund solar panels with tax-paying dollars on prime farmland. Now, what is productive in prime farmland? I don't know. We'll have to read on and wait and see
Yeah.
how that works out. But as everybody is covering their land with taxpayer funded solar panels, or at least taxpayer subsidized solar panels, and getting big money, they have pivoted at the White House. I like it. I think it's great. Let these companies stand alone. Let the landowners decide if they want that kind of stuff. But they're talking, this will affect millions and millions of acres of farmland that they were expecting to put solar panels on. Eastern Colorado is pivoting right now because we have to be 100% renewable by, I think, 2030 or 35. And so we've got all these power line corridors coming in. We've got all these, renewable energy resources like solar farms all over. I mean, there's 5 miles north of my mom's ranch. There's a proposed 5,000 acre solar farm that
My
um, I
God.
I know, and those people that own that ranch don't ranch on it. They bought it 20 years ago, and they've just sucked off the government that whole time. So I know that is absolutely federally subsidized and funded. And so we'll see what happens there. I don't know how that's going to affect the solar industry. I mean, there's a lot of ranchers in the West that have had options to take solar leases, but I think those solar leases are mostly government subsidized. So if they shut that flow of money off, how is that going to affect people that have decided or kind of signed contracts, like say in Colorado, where we have to have this be renewable by a certain date? But then if the federal government takes that out, I don't know. You know where we're at with conservation. That too is a complex situation where Biden provided all these billions and billions of dollars in conservation bribery. And then we had this, and they're shutting it off, and Trump shutting this off. I don't know how all this is going to play out. It's something we have to really watch and see what happens in the future. But I thought that was a really big announcement. As far as it goes for me, that was a bigger announcement than what Secretary Rollins had in Austin, where they're blocking taxpayer dollars for solar panels.
Yeah,
Super good.
love it. Love it. And
I
I
do too.
get when people are like, "Well, that's not enough," or what are the actual detail, which we don't have. We've looked for details on this. I don't think there's anything other than the press release which
Yeah,
says
just the press release.
productive farmland. Well,
Hmm.
is Shad's Ranch productive? Like, is are livestock acres considered productive? I would think that they are, but is farming just mean like
Yeah,
tillable acres or plantable acres?
exactly.
We don't really know
Exactly.
yet. But it's a step in the right direction, and that's what you can't be mad about it. I'm sorry. I mean, I know
No,
some people
I don't think so
some
either,
people
you
are, it
know.
seems like, but
Well,
um,
I think we
it,
have to get control of these subsidies.
and one
I
thing
think
I go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Um, when I talked to Harriet Hageman, and she's a big Trump supporter,
Hmm.
and supported this continuing resolution, different things because of this kind of stuff. And I
Hmm.
said, well, how come we're doing these things like you can't import. Like we're not going to, the government isn't going to subsidize any importing of solar panel materials. Like they have to
Right,
be U.S. Made, and that's the same with like windmills and stuff. Which none of this stuff is made in the U.S., so it's almost
right.
like they are shutting it off. But also, her answer I thought was kind of telling, where she's like, "Well, if all of these companies have to get financed some way, these are million and billion dollar projects, and they still do need." Capital, a bank or some sort of investment to get built. And if the government is now pulling out of all of these deals, even if there are contracts, like even if there are solar panels being built on, like you said, your area by your ranch, and they're depending on federal money, like would you want to finance something like that, which that rug might get pulled out of there at any moment? I mean, I think that's a good point where
Yeah.
as we're chipping away at this, and that's what I feel like it's a good strategy. When this whole thing started in like Doge, it reminds me of like Doge came in and they fired all these federal employees, and it was kind of almost like a step too far, instead of chipping away at it and really sitting down and figuring out where you need to pull people and where you don't. They kind of
Yeah.
just came through and fired a bunch of people, and then they
Right.
had to rehire some, and now there's lawsuits and different stuff. So I feel like this is almost a better strategy than, all at once thing, but just come in and, okay, we're going to start with productive farmland and hopefully just keep going. And the other thing is, instead of being pissed off and not being a cheerleader for this. Like I feel like if the public gets behind every one of these deals, like yes, remove the federal subsidy for that and keep going, instead of being like, well, that's not enough, and being mad about it. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah,
Because if they
that's
look at this and they see a lot of public support for it, they're going to keep going.
well, and hopefully, yeah, I'm all for the public support. I'm not sure it's wise or feasible for the federal government to be subsidizing this to a situation where all of these companies, what's going to happen when that money flow of money ends? If you got long-term contracts with landowners and one of these organizations, the federal government pulls the rug out from underneath them, and then one of these organizations goes belly up, then you have an environmental catastrophe out there on your land. Who's going to do that? Who's going to be responsible for that? I know they're putting those in the contracts, but if the company doesn't exist, what the hell does it matter, right?
Right. Yeah.
And and I think they've seen some of that over the years already happening. So it's something we got to, let's make a free market out of it. That's what I say. Let's
Right.
make a free
Right
market
on.
out of it.
Yeah. If solar works, make it work. But
Amen.
why do they have to make it like there's so many questions? Like, why can't it be above parking lots, on top of buildings, these
Yeah,
things.
I think
But
those are
then you
great
talk about,
ideas.
well, if we need 5,000 acres, I don't know. It just seems insane to me. I can't even
I
wrap
don't,
my head around if
I
like what that would look like. I mean, I've seen the
well,
pictures and videos and
the biggest one I've ever seen is about 2,000 acres. It's in and I don't even know if it's that big. I know it's for sure a section and a half, but I think it's bigger because of the hills. But it's in Los Animas County, Colorado. And when I came over the hill, I was like, "What is that?" It was huge. I mean, huge. And what happens when a guerrilla hellstorm comes through there and demolishes all that stuff and all that freon that allows it to, follow the sun, the tracking component on it. And what happens to that? I mean, it could actually, it's like I said yesterday, the fixes to our problems are actually creating a lot more problems than what we already have,
Yeah.
right? Because these are all answers or questions that need to be answered. And guess who gets to pay for them? The people. The people get to pay for all that.
Right on. What else you got?
That's really all I have. I just wanted to make, if you're from out west and you're getting these questionnaires and surveys from the Western Landowners Alliance, I know my family has gotten three of them, and people are calling me and asking me about, whether they should fill these surveys out. And I say no. I say it's none of their business.
Well, let's
The
get
Western
who is that? Who is Western Landowners Alliance?
So it's an alliance of people and organizations that is dedicated to conservation. But the problem is if you get down into the Western Landowners Alliance, down into the rabbit hole, which I've been getting into, um, they have some pretty nefarious, partners lined up, and to include the World Wildlife Fund, the Nature Conservancy, and all of these people that are wanting to put more and more land into conservation. And so the surveys that they're sending out, like we have no, on our ranch in Colorado, we have no tie to the government in any way. Um, and we're getting these questionnaires, right? And I'm like, why are we getting these questionnaires, these surveys, and then everybody else is called and so they like here's one, the very first question: how many properties and acres do you own and or lease in the following states? Um, and it gives you the states: Colorado, Idaho, Montana, New Mexico, Oregon, and Wyoming. Well, where are the places that they're pushing Nature Conservancy and, all of those ENGOs are pushing to for more conservation? Those are the states. And then the question two is roughly what percent of your property is used for the following: livestock production, crop and hay, forest management, non-ag, energy production, and hunting. How many total acres are currently in the following? Um, here it is on number three. How many total acres are currently in the following: perpetual conservation easements, conservation stewardship program, conservation reserve program, conservation grasslands reserve program, conservation reserve enhancement program, U.S. and wildlife fish, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services partners. Are they enrolled in other states or other local conservation efforts? You know, and it's a one, two, three, four, five pages, you know, of here it is. Were you compensated for any of the losses reported in the previous question? The previous question was, in 2024, what was the estimate market value of crop, forage, water, and livestock losses caused by wildlife and cost of repairs from wildlife damages if there were no losses or costs? What percentage of loss was reported was compensated? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most important, how important is it to invest in wildlife conservation and ecological health on your property? So, what I've got to tell you is if there are people getting these, as an individual, I would not fill that out. It's nobody's business. And so that's really all I have. I mean, I wanted to talk about the Montana Grazing Lands Coalition deal that they're having in September. And the more I dig into that, the more complex that becomes. And, just don't think that the American people realize how deeply embedded the enemies are into our industries and our private lives. And the more I look at that, Jim, scarier it is.
When
So
is that deal?
I think it's the 5th through the 11th.
September?
It's in
All right.
September.
We'll talk about it next week.
All right.
Grazing Lands, what is it? Montana Grazing Lands
Montana,
Coalition.
yeah, yeah.
They're going to talk y'all into selling your
That's right.
carbon credits, I think.
That's right. That's what they're going to do.
All right. Well,
Okay.
went to the state fair last week. I said I'd have a full report on the state fair.
Yes.
It's about the same as it's always been.
Awesome. A
There's
lot of
only more
walking.
and more people. Like my brother hadn't been for, I don't know, I think he said like since high school or something.
Uh-huh.
And he just could not believe the amount of people that come to that deal. Which, it's kind of it makes it hard to get through and all that, but it's good for, agriculture exposure, get all them
Sure.
people from town, you know,
Well, tell
having
us
the
about your award, your family
Oh
award.
yes, and one thing I guess I would say the Farm Bureau does. We've criticized Farm Bureau on here, American Farm Bureau, but the state and county farm bureaus do great things. One thing they
They
really
do.
promote is family farms, and
Hmm.
they give an award at the state fair every year for a century farm, which
That's
if it's
awesome.
been in your family for 100 years, and they call it the Heritage Award for if
Mhm.
it's been in your family 150 years. So we got to
Wow.
go and kind of represent Mundorf Farms, which has started 1874 is what they said. I always thought it
Wow.
was 73. But
Wow.
yeah, so my dad and his brothers and sister kind of got honored, but as we're the ones who are farming who are working the farm now, we kind of went and represented, I guess. So,
That's
and it,
cool.
I guess his brothers Merv, Charlie, Marty, Carol. But the one that was really missed was Ron, who passed away a couple years ago, and he was the one who, took it over from his dad and has kind of been the caretaker for my dad's generation of the farm. And his wife Martha still lives on the place, and son Tim is still around too. So that was pretty cool.
That is really cool. I wish I could say that. Our family in Colorado, both sides of my family have been there about 125 years within 10 miles of where their family settled. But the land has changed hands a lot. The ranch we're on now, we've had for 76 years.
Yeah.
And so my mom, that's my mom's place. My folks bought that from my mom. So my goal is to make it to 100 years on that.
Well, Colorado's a little different.
Yeah, well, I
You had a
mean,
bunch
they
of
opened
wild
that.
Indian. You
Yeah,
guys were
they
fighting all
opened
that.
that stuff up. They opened that stuff up. I think the Homesteading Act opened up there in like around '09, but my family was actually there before. But 174 years is freaking awesome.
Well,
And
we've been there 151
or
or
I'm
two.
sorry, 150 years is freaking
Yeah.
awesome. And that is a great, great legacy to talk about. I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
it's cool. Good job, Farm Bureau, for promoting that stuff. It's a
Yeah,
big deal for a lot of families. I mean,
sure.
we didn't get matching T-shirts, and it's in the cattle pavilion, which is kind of this, a heritage kind of place.
Uh-huh.
It's an old round barn. If you've ever been to the Iowa State
Yeah.
Fair, it's just a cool building to see, and all of these families show up and all the grandkids and everybody, and it's a full day. They give these awards out, and being that's the other thing. We had planned our little family vacation to go on to Chicago from Des Moines. And we were like, I'll get out of there at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We
Not
ended up
so.
getting out there till like 6 o'clock and had a
Jeez.
5 hour drive ahead of us. So yeah, we pulled in. And of course, we have a 3 year old, so who knows what the road, and she had to pee more than she's ever
Oh
had
yeah.
to before. We drove to Chicago. I've never been to Chicago before. Got in there about
What?
1 o'clock at night.
Holy
So
cow.
yeah, with a 3 year old and two older kids. So then we had to unpack and get all anyway.
Well, tell your family congratulations. That's a big honor, dude. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's neat, and it's neat to see all the other families there too
It
with the
is. It is.
well.
Okay,
Anyway,
buddy. That's all I got.
all right. See you next week. Go to
Yeah.
lonesomelands.com, click subscribe. We sold a ton of them plant-based t-shirts, so we're getting them out of
Oh,
here.
great.
Um, Thanks to everybody that placed a merch order, and it should be there soon.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was out of town for a couple days, but we're getting them on the way, and they'll. But yeah, if you want to keep supporting us, go to. Well, I don't know how many I have. I guess I should have figured that out before this deal. But if you keep, I said that while supplies last, anybody that buys a T-shirt, I'll throw in the plant-based BS T-shirt as in the same size as the shirt you buy.
Yeah.
So
It's pretty
anyway,
cool.
thanks
And
everybody.
also, happy birthday to my wife. Not that she'll watch this, but happy birthday to Thea.
Happy birthday, Thea.
All right. Adios.
See you next week.